Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Vitality Mentality. I know we haven't been live for what, like 1 week, Joe?
I think it might be closer to 2, but that's okay.
Yeah, what we had Labor Day weekend, and then I'm homeless, so that always comes into play. We never know when I'm gonna be able to stream because of my homeless situation.
Pretty much.
I don't know.
But
I don't
it's
know.
okay.
I don't know why that's funny, but apparently it is to me. So guys, today we actually have a really great podcast for you. Joe and I are very excited to talk about this. College has just started. My daughter just started her first year of college, and so it got me thinking, hey man, why don't we deliver 5 tips to stay lean and avoid that freshman 15? Which
Absolutely.
which is kind of funny because my wife, she's from Brazil, so she came to the States to start college. She's a chemical engineer, but she didn't know what the freshman 15 was. I had to explain it to her. So not a common term really in other countries. It's a more of an American thing, I guess, which is why obesity is like a third of our country. So I guess it makes sense.
It starts in college.
Yes, it does. It starts in college. So guys, we actually managed, well not we, I managed to match the mic sound this time. So can you guys comment real quick? I just want to make sure the audio is okay for you guys, that you can hear me and Joe equally. Before we had some issues where Joe's volume was much louder than mine was. So
Yeah, it was super loud.
It was super loud. Luck says 1, so I guess we're good. You still have the boyish look as a father for a college girl. Thank you. Thank you, Brown Mamba. And I like that you chose to be different and be a brown mamba instead of a black mamba.
It must be not as venomous.
Not as venomous. Guys, no, seriously. In Florida, like I just moved here, so I don't really know what the wildlife is like. I just know there's alligators and stuff. I was running down the street, and I swear there was this massive black snake, like just on the sidewalk. It scared the crap out of me. Not even joking. But it slithered away really fast. So I'm just assumed that it was not poisonous, or else it would have probably bit me. So we're going to jump right into this topic, guys. And for those of you who don't know, the freshman 15, I saw a few questions in here. The freshman 15 is basically when you start your first year of college in America. The freshman 15 is that you gain 15 pounds of fat just because you're on your own, you're partying, you're probably doing some stuff you shouldn't be doing, trying to get into fraternities, all that good stuff. There's more food available to you. Some colleges don't have the best food. There's all these factors that come into play that are both good and bad. And we think that you should still be able to experience college, but not have to experience it with an extra 15 pounds of fat.
Absolutely. I mean, the freshman 15, I think that a lot of people pack that on mostly because they're not being monitored anymore. They can do whatever it is that they want. And that usually translates to just eating whatever they want whenever they want it, and stress contributes too. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And personally, before we get started, guys, I didn't gain the freshman 15 of fat. If anything, I gained the freshman 15 pounds of muscle. So that's where you're going to be hearing from my side of the story. What about you, Joe? Were you good in college, or what's going on?
So I was good in college until I started making friends, and then when I started making friends in college, I started drinking a lot. But my metabolism was still very fast because I played some sports, things like that. I tried to keep myself very busy, but it definitely caught up with me a little bit later on.
And that's what happened. So, all right, guys, we are going to get started here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, the number one tip to help you guys, or the first tip to help you guys not pack on that freshman 15. And don't worry, too, guys. We see all the questions in the comment section, and we will get to those. We try to do questions at the end of the podcast just to keep things moving along. But if we see something that's relevant to what we're talking about, we'll definitely give you a shout out and bring it up. So number one, use all that the school offers: the gym, wellness centers, intramural sports, active classes, Oh, and activity classes for credits. So, Joe, why don't we let you go first, and you can talk a little bit about this and maybe some of the things that you did in school that when
Sure.
when your friends weren't influencing you to to not do those things.
Yeah. So I actually part of the weight that I did gain when I was in college was I did gain a substantial amount of muscle. And that was mostly because prior to college I had almost never touched a free weight. And I joined the rugby team, which also led to a lot of drinking, but it also led to going to the gym with a group of guys that were there to like push you. Um, so that was something that I definitely did. A lot of things that we did a lot too was, I'd hang out with a couple of other friends and we'd do things like we'd play dodgeball together, or we had a big beautiful campus, so we'd walk around a whole lot and talk. Even when we were blasted out of our minds drunk, we do a lot of walking and talking, so that kind of helps to offset some of it. um, I didn't really, the only class that I took that was ever really considered active um, for credit was something like a percussion ensemble, because I played drums all the way through high school and I wanted to keep doing that. And that, I mean, that's a good workout. You move around a lot in those kinds of classes.
Oh yeah, dude. Drums is super intense. I just want to bring up. I saw something that made me laugh. Abel Rivera, have a lot of sex.
That'll help too.
Was his way to stay in shape. I just want to add a little something and have a lot of protected sex. Okay, if we're gonna talk about at least have some protection. Okay, you don't want to be having any kids unless you want to chase them around as added cardio. So, but I'm sure most of you in college don't want that.
No.
So, Joe, did you live on campus?
I did. I lived on campus.
So this is really great because Joe lived on campus, guys. I was a commuter. So my college experience, I went to Merrimack College in North Andover, Massachusetts. And at the time, I was living at my father's house in Lawrence, Massachusetts. It was literally a 5-minute drive. I could roll out of bed and be in class in 5 minutes. It was great. At that point in time in my life, I was working full time, and I had to. I had to make money. I didn't. My family was well off, but I didn't want to put in the entire burden on them of paying for me and my school and everything else. So I had a full-time job as a personal trainer while I was in college. I would wake up, I'd go to the gym like 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd train some clients, I'd go to class, then I'd go back to the gym, train some clients, go back to school for class if I had to, and then go back to the gym, train clients, and then work out, and then go home, and then repeat for 4 years. And as you can imagine from hearing all of that, it was pretty intense. But there were some things that I did because not every single day, obviously, I could maintain this perfect schedule where I could work out and do all these things. And so my school had a gym, and so I would try to split up my workouts. At that point in my life, it was like a 5-day bodybuilding split. That's what everybody was doing. At the time, that was like the best thing you could do. Nobody even heard of full body training or cheat and recover or push-pull legs. It was like, Monday chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday arms. That's just how we trained back then. And so on days where I could actually do on my arm days, I would just go to the school gym. And the school gym wasn't like the best thing, but it was enough for me to get in, get a good workout in, and go to class without sweating too much. And then I also had a cooler that I would pack every single morning, like one of those igloo coolers, and I would carry it to every single class. And I didn't care what people thought. I got made fun of all the time from kids in my class for carrying this cooler around. And they knew me as the guy who always had brown rice because I would just pull it out in the middle of class and start eating it, like my pasta, my veggies, my chicken. I didn't care what people thought of me. I'm like, you guys are all losers. I'm gonna be, doing big stuff, big things when I get older. So that's what I did. And then as far as sports, I did join a dodgeball team. But there's some additives here too, guys. I mean, going to the school gym, yeah, you can make some friends, but I feel like, especially if you're living on campus, you definitely want to go to the wellness center. You want to talk to people, but doing the intramural sports is a great way to not only, keep the calorie count down, but to also make friends. And I played dodgeball, and it was ruthless. I mean,
yeah,
it was like everybody's going for a headshot. But I did make some really good friends. Did you? What do you think, Joe?
And I think that having a group of active friends is also very important. I mean, if the people that you decide to hang around with and spend your time with are the people that want to just sit on the couch and do nothing, that's what you're going to end up doing. But if you play intramural sports and you make friends with some people that like to be active, people that like to walk places, that's just going to be what you end up doing, and that's going to help keep you away from that freshman 15 the best.
I agree. Choke neck, Scott. You have a really nice voice for a radio moderator. Well, thank you so much. Jamie XX, how crowded was your school gym? My school gym was never really too crowded, especially if I was going in between classes. If I were to go before all classes started or later in the evening, it would definitely be a lot more packed. And like I said, if I was going to class, I'd try to stay away from cardio machines because I didn't want to arrive in class like super stinky. And
Yep.
then someone did, obviously, we got the dodgeball references. If you can dodge the freshman 15, you can dodge a ball. Just made my day, Brandon, Adrian. Oh my gosh, man. But we'll get back to that, and we'll answer some more questions there. But if you're in college, guys, and you are going to the gym, like, you're embarking on a whole new part of your life. So yeah, you have goals that you need to reach in the gym, but it's not like you're in high school anymore. Okay, you can't be in the gym 3 to 4 hours a day just dilly-dallying around. This is your career, so it might be prime time to think more about, maintaining so you can focus a bit on your schoolwork and your career and start to switch your workouts up. And you have to know that you can't feel bad doing that either, because after your first year or two of college, you'll kind of get an idea of how things work and how to manage your schedule. And you can kick the gym back up at that time. But when you first start school, it's really important to make sure you're focusing on your schoolwork. So let's jump over to number 2. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
So number 2, I mean, this is going to be, everybody's clutch. And guys, real quick, make sure you go down to this video and hit that thumbs up button for the incorporation of Notepad for me to show these points scrolling. I mean, me and Joe are like, how are we gonna show these points? And I was like, well, I'll just open Notepad so I don't have to make any thumbnails. I was like, okay.
There you go.
and a thumbs up for that thumbnail photo because that's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
So, Joe, get enough rest and try to minimize stress. I mean, these are two things that when you say it to a college student, they're going to be like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I have 8 hours of homework a night, and I'm learning things I've never done before, and I'm trying to make friends, and I'm trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and I'm trying to join a fraternity, and all these other ands that pop up. How the hell am I supposed to minimize stress and get enough rest? Well, I guess I can start with this one.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, Thomas Dubay, thank you for the $5 donation, man. You are too kind. Thomas does a donation every single time we do a podcast.
Pretty sure.
Thomas, you are the embodiment of how amazing Canadians are. Let me just throw that out there. I'm pretty, and I also want to throw out there that I'm pretty sure you're Canadian, and if you're not, I totally botched that.
Well, that is a Canadian $5. So.
Oh yeah, it was. So okay, so I was correct. So to get enough rest and minimize stress, I mean, honestly, guys, it's gonna come down to scheduling. Like, you are now an adult, okay? You are in charge of your own schedule. And a part of being an adult and a part of being in charge of your own schedule is to understand that you can only do so much at a time. Obviously, you want to be out of your dorm or on campus as much as possible. But you also kind of have to pick and choose the things that are most important to you just so you can maximize your time doing those things. Because if you burn out after the first month of school because you're doing too much, after that month, you're really not going to be able to do anything, and it can cause depression. It can really amplify your stress, and as your stress amplifies, we tend to become a bit more depressed, and when that happens, we tend to raise our cortisol levels, which tends to make us hold more body fat, no matter how much exercise we're doing or how well we're trying to eat. there's like this spiral effect that happens if you don't learn time management. And I guess number 2 should have just been time. It should have literally been time management, get enough rest, and try to minimize stress. Joe, take it away.
Yeah, I mean that's really all that it is. And I think that one of the things that people do is that they do try to take on a whole lot right at the beginning of school. I know that I jumped into like 2 or 3 clubs in my first year of school. I joined the rugby team, and then I was trying to make all these different friends and trying to hang out with all these different people. And like not only did it cause my grades to suffer, but I mean I was stressed out the whole time, and that's just no good. You know what I mean? I think that um, if if I had to give anybody a piece of advice, it would be to join like one club or one intramural sport or one of each, right? But no more than that during their first year of school, so that you have enough time to make sure you're getting rest, get your homework done, and have enough time for yourself too, because that's also really important.
Yeah, Joe, and I think that you definitely brought up a good point. Having time for yourself, I mean, yeah, that's super important. If you're just doing something or doing interactions with other people and you're doing all these things, when are you going to have time to do your studies? When are you going to have time to relax? When are you going to have time just to kind of shut yourself off from the world and recenter your energy and just, feel at peace? And the answer is you're not going to. Real quick, big shout out to Mike Roberts for the $9.99 donation. Thank you so much, Mike. You are too kind, my friend.
We appreciate it.
And Cristobal, hi Scott, nice stream. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. So let me go back to everyone's, how bad is alcohol for getting a dad bod? We'll get to that, Randy Mosh. We'll get to that. Don't you worry. That's spoiler alert. Alcohol is going to be mentioned on a college video at some point. But getting back to your point, Joe, like you're totally right. You're going to want to do a lot of different activities in college. And, maybe out of the gate, you join a bunch of clubs to see which one you like the best. But I think it's unrealistic to say you're going to join like 5 to 10 clubs and then stick with them all. It's going to be too much for you. And always remember this, guys. While you're in school, you're pursuing a career. So you want to make sure that, yes, you're doing all these clubs, but also make sure you're having time for internships, and you're starting to look, for job opportunities, because a lot of jobs hire right out of college, or you can even get an internship your second or third year of college, so that by the time you graduate, you already have a job. So a huge way to minimize stress is to know you already have a job when you're done with your school, so you can start paying your school bills.
For sure.
All right, so now let's get into number 3. Number 3, drink water and try not to drink too many calories. Joe, take it away.
For sure. So almost any college that you go to nowadays is going to have some sort of like Starbucks type place where you can go to, and there's all of those like specialty drinks, things like that, things that are loaded with cream, sugar, espresso, chocolate sauce. One of those things is easy, like 1,200 calories if you go all in on it, and that's insanity. Like that could be half your day's worth of food in just your first coffee of the morning. So as far as advice, drink your coffee black or with calorie-free sweeteners, maybe a little bit of almond milk tops, and then just drink a lot of water. Like you're gonna, it's hard to make sure that you get enough water in, as it is anyway. I mean, I struggle to get my gallon of water a day in. But if you start to build that habit when you're in college, when you're in charge of your own life fully, right, for the first time, then that's just going to translate very well through the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I guess drinking water can even go back to our first point of getting enough rest and minimizing stress. When you're dehydrated, all sorts of bad stuff starts happening to your body. Even your brain, it cannot really function properly unless you have enough water in your body, unless you're hydrated. And with all the extra things you're doing, if you are doing activities, if you're hanging out with friends, and while we're on the topic and we're talking about not to drink too many calories, we can bring alcohol into the equation. If you're starting to drink a lot of alcohol because you're on campus, now you're dehydrating your body even more. And drinking alcohol can lead to lots of other things. As you guys know, like your body considers alcohol basically a toxin, and it pretty much slows down your metabolism because your body is now trying to digest and get rid of the alcohol instead of the food that's in your stomach. And then if you're also dehydrated, your body doesn't have enough water to bring into its system to help with digestion, and then you just start falling down this road of your body doesn't know what the hell to do besides get
Right.
stressed out and hold body fat.
Pretty much.
And Joe, apparently that's what your friends helped you with.
Oh, they helped me out with that so well.
But I guess a really good rule of thumb would be, guys, obviously, if you're going to school, nightlife is when you're starting to have fun with friends and do all things, right? So you should try to drink at least a gallon of water a day, okay? That's like a minimum for how active you're going to be. So try to get at least 3/4 or all of that water in before you start your nighttime activities. Because that way, when you're out at night, you can still drink water. Any added water at that point is going to be better for you. But if you're in class all day long and you're eating food and you're just sitting there, but you're not drinking water day after day after day, then you're going out at night and you're eating food and you're drinking alcohol and you're drinking sugary drinks and anything that's basically not water, you're just continuously dehydrating yourself more and more, which is going to slow down your productivity because you're going to be tired and you're going to be stressed out. Like, it would blow your mind. If you're in school right now and you're already getting stressed as hell with all the stuff you have to do, take a minute real quick and just think about how much water you've had in the past week and a half. And I bet you the majority of you are going to be like, oh my God, I barely had any. No wonder why my sleep is terrible. No wonder why I feel like crap all the time. It's not just because you're stressed out. It's because you're low on H2O. Like the water boy said, water is better. Gatorade is better. H2O. You guys know what I'm talking about. Mukul Tripathi. I just want to hear you pronounce / butcher my name. Oh, I'm sure I just did. Thanks for all the videos. Really appreciate it. You are very welcome, Mukul Tripathi, and thank you so much for the $5 donation. That was great.
All right. So moving right along to number 4. I mean, Scott, I know that you talked about how you would bring your food to the because you commuted, and that's definitely a big help. But for those of us that were on campus, we had pretty much the cafeteria, especially in freshman housing. There were no like microwaves or kitchenettes or anything like that. So it was really important to try and make smart decisions when you go into the cafeteria. So just skip to the salad bar or the high protein foods in the cage, which is what we referred to the like specific area of the cafeteria where that stuff was. But get to that stuff first, eat, and then wait 20 minutes. And if you're still hungry, then you go back to that area, and then you're good.
Yeah, and that's what I did a lot. So I had a bunch of friends that went to the same college as me. So a few people have been asking me what I went to school for. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in business management, and I went to Merrimack College in North Andover, Massachusetts. So I had a lot of friends from my high school that actually went to the same college as me. So although I didn't live on campus, Joe, I would join them in the dining area all the time.
Right.
At least like once or twice a week when we had the same classes. And that's exactly what I would do. Like, as soon as you walk in, like, it's by design, okay? It's by design that as soon as you walk into any type of what's it called when you have a buffet. When you walk into any sort of buffet, whether it's your school or a restaurant, you will always notice that the most delicious carbohydrate foods are first. Because they know that those are the most tasty, and they know that if you load your plate with pasta, you're not going to be able to eat as much of the meats they might have at the end of the buffet. And let me tell you something. A 4 to 6 ounce piece of chicken is a lot more expensive than a bowl of pasta, and that's why they do it. They want you to walk in, see all the delicious carbs, all the breads, all the pizza, all the rice, all the pastas, all that stuff. And they want you to get that first and eat it so that by the time you get to your meat, you're already starting to get full and you just have a little bit. So you need to do the exact opposite. Skip the first part of the buffet. You go to the meats. You make yourself a plate of meat. I'm sure all the people here that are vegan are going to hate me for this, but this is what you do. You get yourself a nice big plate of meats and veggies, maybe some salad. You eat that first, and after that first plate is gone, then you can go back and treat yourself to the carbohydrates, the pastas, the rice, the beans, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and that's the whole thing right there. I mean, you just got to keep an eye out on what you're putting into your face and really try to make the better decisions that you can. And it's not to say that like you can't have, some pizza every once in a while. I think that, giving yourself that mental break, especially, trying to reduce stress, things like that, that's really important.
Yeah, and for those of you who live in on campus in your dorms, you're probably not allowed to have certain things in your dorm room. I know they've changed a lot of rules over the years, Joe. Where you can't even have a microwave to heat up your food out, which is really pathetic and stupid. I'm sure you can keep a cooler in your room. Maybe you can sneak something in, but like take advantage of the cafeteria and try to grab as much like if you can bring a container with you or bring containers with you and put some of that food in those containers and bring that back to your dorm and have that to snack on throughout the day, that's going to be a lot better for you than the alternative, which is just having processed foods to snack on all day long in your dorm room. I mean, granted, like Joe said, like you can have some pizza, you can have, your favorite chips or whatever in your dorm. But if you're smart and you take some Tupperware with you when you go to the cafeteria and you load that Tupperware up with different kinds of like fish or chicken or steak, well, probably most colleges don't serve steak, but at least some fish and chicken, and then maybe get a Tupperware full of rice and beans and some vegetables, and you have that to snack on throughout the day for your classes and in your dorm. I'm telling you, like, you're not going to put on that freshman 15. If anything, you might start building some muscle if you're going to the gym.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you eat rice with your hands? Fun fact, when I would go to school, I would actually eat pasta in the morning for breakfast, and I would eat it with my fingers as I was driving. Onar Kakamen. Scott, can you reschedule the time of live streams because here in Europe it's 3:30 a.m.? Yeah, we're going to try to do the live streams a bit earlier in the day, Onir. I mean, just so you guys know, it's mostly because of me. My schedule is super hectic right now because my house isn't done being built yet. I'm in an Airbnb, which is why I have this amazing kitchen behind me instead of being in an actual room. But I mean, Joe, we probably do these live streams in the future, like earlier in the afternoon, like 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Once we get rolling.
Yeah, and we were kind of at the point where it had been a couple weeks, and we really want to make sure that we hit this one, especially where a lot of you guys are going back to school.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I feel like doing the stream maybe a little late is better than not doing it, and we always re-upload the stream so you guys can check them out. But obviously, the more fun is being able to participate in the comment section. So we're going to go over the 5th tip right now, and then we're going to address all you guys commenting in the comment section, except for the people commenting that are being douchey. We're gonna ignore you. Well, I'll probably call you out and block you, but we're going to ignore you. So number 5, be mindful of the social effect on your health from training partners to how much you drink and snack around people. So I'll start this one out. So being mindful of the social effect on your health. What that basically means, guys, is peer pressure. I mean, I was such a stubborn ass growing up. Like, you could not peer pressure me to do anything. I don't even think I had like more than two drinks in one sitting until like I graduated from college. I had never even been drunk until I graduated from college. My friends, we would party all the time, don't get me wrong. But I would never really drink. I would just drink water. Like, I was super into fitness, clearly. And I was just against it. And I was very stubborn. And so I promised my friends that once I graduated college, I would let them get me drunk once, and I paid the price. Because I do not...
Dearly, I'm sure.
I do not remember the night. All I remember is the morning. And I was like... I was just wrecked. But, I mean, you need to have some... Oh, now my wife is commenting. She's like, I've never seen you drunk. It's been 10 years. Well, my wife has seen me buzzing. When you get a few drinks in me, like, I'm a very fun guy. I told my wife, because she wanted to do karaoke, I was like, just fill me up with margaritas and I'll sing every song on the karaoke, good or bad, and people will join in. It'll be a good time. I dance when I'm very loud. I'm wicked. Like, you guys think I'm loud now. So my wife's talking smack over in the peanut gallery. She says I get really happy, really loud, really annoying, but I'm fun. Okay. But getting back to my point, you can't feel peer pressured into doing things to try to look or seem cool. If anything, it's a lot cooler to be yourself and be in control of your own actions. And if people are offering things for you to do, obviously a lot of people experiment with things worse than alcohol, like drugs in college. Don't feel obligated that you can't fit in with a group of people because you don't want to do what they're doing. I had lots of friends that would do stuff like that. They do it around me, and like, I'd be like, all right, I'm good. Like, I'm not going to judge you. You can do what you want, but I'm good. And if they had a problem with that, then I would just leave. And most of the time they didn't, and it's like, not that I was surrounding myself by, shady people or anything, but like, people experiment in college. Like, we're all adults here. It's what happens. But you have to have enough confidence in yourself, in your own goals, and your own values to be able to go to school, be on your own, and be put in these situations where it's now up to you to make a decision and start to really establish your own personality, the person that you're going to be. Joe, take it away.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing about it too, is that a lot of people have a hard time being accountable to themselves and really like just being who they are. I know that was something that I definitely struggled with when I first went to college. That's why I tried so hard to make so many friends, do all these different things, and that's how I gained a lot of the weight that I had gained back in the day before I started working on trying to get rid of it. Was a lot of the years actually of partying and hanging out with these people that I didn't that I couldn't really be my true self around. Like that was where a lot of it came from. I mean, I was just slamming alcohol. Like, I mean, I had, everybody's heard of Thirsty Thursdays, Thirsty Thursdays. I had one of those for every single day of the week.
Joe was the equivalent to Frank the Tank from old school. Is basically what he's trying to say.
I drank way too much.
And I mean, like, I feel like a lot of people, obviously, they want to feel accepted. There's nothing worse than being invited into a group of people and then they ask you to do something and you tell them no because you think they're going to shun you. Well, those aren't the kind of people you want to be hanging out with anyways. Like, they don't deserve you if they're going to shun you because you don't want to drink until you get blackface. Like, you should be allowed to do your thing. Or, I mean, there's other things you can do too. So, for example, I would go to parties at school and I would bring a bottle of water. I would take the label off and I would tell everybody it was vodka and I would pretend I was drunk and I would take a sip and be like, oh, this is so, like, I would literally play drinking games with my vodka and nobody knew because either they were too drunk to notice or I was a good actor. It's up to you to decide. It's up to you to decide what it was. But it kind of, because I was sick and tired of telling people, like, I don't drink, I don't want to drink, I'm designated driver, or I got stuff to do later, I have to be up in the morning. I got sick and tired of the excuses, so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna get a bottle of water. Get an empty vodka bottle and fill that with water, and then just don't let anybody have it.
No, it's my vodka.
Like, I brought my own vodka because I don't want to be roofied, and you can't have any because you might try to roofie me, whatever.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm trying to say. There are ways around it. You just have to be creative and confident, and you can have a fun story like I just told you about mine. Canal Carabino. Hey, Scott, Herm, thanks for all your support and helping us followers with getting back into shape and motivating us into working out. Thanks from Dominican Republic. Well, you're so very welcome, man. Thank you so much for the kind compliment. Brown Mamba, it's because you were a good actor. You remind me of Tom Cruise. Maybe. I mean, I did make it into a movie with Dave Bautista, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Mark Paul Goss in there, Robert De Niro, called Heist. I was in it. I had speaking lines. I was Sergeant Thomas, SWAT team
Yep.
captain. But yeah, so I think, Joe, what do you think? Time to jump into this comment section and talk to our people.
Yeah, I think it's time to hit some questions.
All right, so let's start with David Mazzotti. Hey, Scott, I have a question. When I was 14, I did daily hard ab training, and as a result, my abs are like really hard, but like really tight and small. I'd like to fix this. What do you recommend to me? Well, the size and shape of your abs, Dave, are going to be genetic. But maybe you can try to train your abs a bit differently. So, for example, I always preach if you want your abs to really pop and stick out, you need to do heavy weighted ab training. And Joe and I started doing a lot of this together even before I moved down to Florida. Some of my most famous exercises you'll see online are like ab pull downs. You can do like weighted leg lifts where you're holding a weight in your legs. All sorts of stuff like that. And then you might also want to start getting into some stomach vacuums. Stomach vacuums will help your entire core overall become a bit more muscular and tighter. And if you've never done a stomach vacuum before, I have a how-to video on it you can check out. So go and check that out. Neutralino19. Hey, Scott, got here as fast as possible. Well, thank you for coming, man. Welcome to the live stream. Joe, why don't you take a question?
Sure. Let's see here. There are a bunch.
I like Michael DeLuca.
Michael DeLuca. Why am I not seeing it?
49 years old, just getting back after 15 years off, and he's diving right into full body. You made a great decision. I've been actually developing my own full body program, and I've never done full body before. Joe and I, before I came down here, we were doing Cheat and Recover, which is an amazing program, but you can only do it for like 6 to 8 weeks at a time, maybe 12 max, because it just puts a ton of strain on your central nervous system. That's what the program's designed for. It's designed to push you through a plateau.
Absolutely.
Joe made some amazing leaps and bounds and strength gains and muscle definition from doing it. And then I came down here basically right around the time we finished doing the program, and I was getting back into the gym after not really doing any kind of training for like 6 to 8 weeks because of the travel.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try full body. I freaking love it.
Right. So here's a question. Hey, guys. This is from Ryan Sherman. What are your thoughts on jump rope? What's it good for? What's it not good for? Jump rope is a great way to warm up, in my opinion. I think it's a great way. You take 5 minutes, nice, easy skip rope. That'll help to warm up your arms, your shoulders. Get a little bit of a warm up in your legs, too, because you're obviously having to jump. But you can also you can do intervals with that, too.
Yeah,
you can go hard for 30 seconds and then go easy after that.
Jump rope is definitely a great full body burn. If you don't have a lot of room, or maybe you can't do a lot of different exercises, maybe you have some mobility issues. I mean, granted, if you're perfectly healthy, jump rope is still great. But yeah, like Joe said, you're moving your legs, moving your arms, you're hitting the shoulders. You can even get a weighted jump rope and make the workout 10 times easier. However, if you get a weighted jump rope, I have one. They're thick. And when you miss and you hit yourself with that, oh my freaking God, does it hurt. Like, it hurts a lot. Maybe if you did a night of binge drinking, you should punish yourself by doing jump roping with a weighted jump rope, because every time you miss, it'll wake you up.
For sure.
Oh my gosh. What do you think about Strong Lift 5x5 from Andre On? I think Strong Lift 5x5 is a great program. A lot of people have seen really great results from it. It's more of a program geared towards overall strength gain. So if that's your goal, that's definitely what you should be doing. As a beginner, if you did Strong Lift 5x5, you would pack on muscle because you get those newbie gains. And at the same time, you'd start to build a really strong foundation for like your squat, bench, and deadlift, and overall lifting in general. So it's definitely a program you can attack whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced athlete, for sure, definitely.
Yeah. I actually, when I very first started lifting, I started doing strong lifts 5x5, and it was great.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of people have great results with it. John Mole, hey Scott, have you ever come across skin issues from lifting too heavy or maybe being in too much of a deficit? Thanks, man. Do you mean skin issues like stretch marks or maybe skin being too loose from having too much of a deficit? Here's the thing. Obviously, if you're lifting really heavy. Well, you're not really going to get stretch marks from lifting heavy, but some things that I do notice will happen. So, like, sometimes depending on, like, the bench that I'm using, if I'm lifting really heavy, sometimes I'll get, like, a bruise on my back. Joe, you've seen that. Like, when we were doing, like, the 120s and going up to 125s on bench, the actual bench was a little too wide, so I would get bruising on my back sometimes. Sometimes you might get bruising on your core from your weightlifting belt. And then the only time I would say, you'd have skin issues from being too much in a deficit is if you're not eating enough food. I mean, even when you're in a deficit, guys, you can still not be eating enough to be in a proper deficit. And you'll actually feel like your muscles will feel really deflated and skinny. A lot of people, when they go into a deficit, they just go right to cutting out like all their carbohydrates, which as soon as you do that, you're going to shrink and you're going to feel weak and you're going to feel small and you're going to feel squishy. You're going to start getting that like skinny fat look. You need the carbohydrates. There's a fine line between being in a deficit to lose weight and just being malnourished.
Right. I mean, that's really important too, because when you're malnourished, and if you're in a deficit, it's because you're trying to lose weight anyway. But if you're malnourished, you're not going to be getting rid of what you want to.
Correct. Brown Mamba, I'll answer this first, Joe, then you. What is one muscle group that you found to be the most difficult to bring up? For me, it's been my calves and traps. And my traps have definitely grown. Calves are still a work in progress. Joe?
So for me, it's been mostly my my chest. I don't really know how to say it specifically, but my chest doesn't really come up very much. It'll grow out, but it won't come up. And maybe that's still because I have some work to do. I have some fat that I need to get rid of still. But that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm lucky as far as the calf situation goes, because as a former fat guy, I have big traps.
Yeah, your traps are pretty good,
traps,
man.
Calves. Calves was what I meant to say.
Your traps are good. Your traps are pretty good though too.
I'll take it.
Marcelo Cardina, Scott, I'm your fan from Brazil. To the Bane. Menchita. That's what I say to my wife. Menchita. What was I just gonna say? I read. Where was it? Mike wants the best way. Hold on 1 second. Where'd it go? Oh, Mike Roberts. I will ask in the forum if needed. I am having issues with acid reflux, and it always happens after heavy weight training sessions. I mean, that could be a diet question. Yeah, definitely post in the forums, Mike, and we can try to talk about that a bit more. And then I saw one more up here. I'll take one more question, and then Joe can take one more question. Mako Pierre, what's the best way to lose belly fat when your upper body is decent but you lack abs? Have a sweet tooth issue that I'm working on. I know if I change that and go strict, it will help. Tips. Well, yeah, definitely. If you have a sweet tooth, the best way to not eat sweets is to not buy them or have them in the house. And if you have them in the house now, don't think the only way to get rid of them is to eat them. They can go in the trash. But honestly, Mako, I feel like a really great alternative for you is obviously clean up your diet. But you can literally continue to do your same workouts, clean up your diet, and add like 15 to 20 minutes of HIIT cardio in at the end of your training sessions 2 to 3 times a week, maybe even 4. Maybe on your rest days, you literally go out and just do a quick like 4 to 5 mile run or whatever is equivalent to 20 to 30 minutes outside for you might be, whether it's 4 to 5 miles or a little more or a little less. But for me, myself, I always notice that if my diet gets a little crappy because, let's face it, sometimes we just want to eat whatever we want, I can still pretty much maintain my look and how I want to feel and not put on excessive fat if I start adding more cardio in. And then typically, once I clean up my diet and I'm back on track with everything, I still have to do cardio, but once or twice a week is enough versus doing it 3 to 4 times a week.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on Randy Marsh's question. I eat pure junk food but retain a good physique. Will it show in the future? Yes. Short answer. The long answer to that is that if you're eating pure junk food, because that's what I did when I was in college. I ate straight up trash all the time, and I thought that I looked fine. You know, I was still pretty slim when I was in college because I walked around a lot. I played rugby. I kept myself really, really busy. But as soon as I stopped having those things, as soon as I stopped being as busy and I had to really be, I had to be working, 35, 40 hours a week. So I didn't have time for all those things that kept me active. It all just kind of bounced right on back because I didn't change my dietary habits. I didn't figure out my nutrition in a proper way until it was way too late and I was, almost 100 pounds overweight.
1 second, Joe's replying to somebody. Somebody asked.
Sure.
Somebody asked, what do you think of cardio kills gains? I guess that kind of relates to what I just talked about. Cardio is only going to kill your gains if you're not eating enough and you're going overboard. So as long as you're watching your calorie intake and how many calories you're burning, cardio is not going to kill your gains. If anything, it's going to enhance them. It's going to enhance the gains. So, yeah, now, Joe, I feel like this was a really great podcast for us today. We hit that 45-minute mark, which is right around where we wanted to be. We went through all 5 questions. We got lots of great questions from our community. This was really great. So, guys, this is going to be – we're going to wrap the podcast up right now. As always, if you have ideas for future podcasts, make sure once the video is uploaded to YouTube, should be available within the next 15 or 20 minutes, make sure you guys go down there and you comment below your podcast ideas. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and you click that like button on the actual video. And Joe, do you have anything you want to say before we say goodbye to our friends here?
Just keep staying awesome. My channel is in the description below too. I've got some stuff in the works that's going to be coming soon. But just keep an eye out. We're going to be podcasting much more consistently. We are on iTunes, we are on Spotify, and we are on Google Play if you want to listen later.
And if you missed any previous podcasts, the links to those will be in the info section below, as well as the pinned comment once this video is live. Hope you guys all have a great week. Oh, and really quick, if you're going to be at the Olympia, I will be there every single day at the BSN booth next week, so make sure you come by and say hello. And as always, more good stuff coming soon.
See you guys.